All right, moving on to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. I'm sorry that I've not uploaded in a few days. I just haven't had time to sit down and watch this movie. So I finally found some time tonight, and I popped this sucker in, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. This is one that I think is really strange, bizarre, out there, weird, bizarre, weird, out there, bizarre, weird, out there, bizarre, strange, bizarre. Those are the main adjectives to describe this film. And well, in the realm of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like fandom and whatnot, this movie has two camps. There are people that hate and despise this movie, and there are people that love it. Where do I fall on the spectrum? When I first saw this movie, I hated it with every bone in my body. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, to me, when I first saw it, was the worst in the franchise. Now, this was before 3D and Leatherface and all that. This is before those films came out. Way before. I thought, you're making a sequel to the greatest horror film I've ever made, which is tough in and of itself. Very tough. And I was like, this is the best they could do. This is the direction they took. So this movie was always stained with hatred. Just absolute fucking hatred. I hated this movie. I said I'd take 3. I would take Next Generation. Well, I'd take the remake, slow down, pump the brakes with Next Generation. I said that I would take the remake and the beginning, which I've always enjoyed the beginning anyway, but still. I was just, why? I was puzzled as to why they would make this as a follow-up to the greatest horror film of all time. I just didn't get it. Upon rewatch, I had a fucking blast with this movie. I fucking had so much fun with this rewatch. I was laughing. I was getting into it. I will say that I probably will, if I get in the mood to watch a Texas Chainsaw sequel, I will probably pull this off my shelf more times than I ever thought that I would have. So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, man. I really have come around to this movie. I think I finally get it. Our story is, we have Dennis Hopper, who I love Dennis Hopper. He's playing this character named, I almost called him, Lefty. Jesus. I can't talk today. And he's pretty much trying to avenge his niece and nephew, who were Sally and Franklin, even though Sally survived. Franklin did not, in the original film. What he's trying to do is go after the Sawyers. He is hell-bent on killing these fucking people. And meanwhile, we also have Stretch, played by Caroline Williams, who, she is sexy, man. She's foxy as hell. Great looking lady. She's adorable as hell. Anyway, even in her 60s, she's gorgeous. But she plays this disc jockey, and she happens to hear these two idiots who show up at the beginning. They were introduced to these characters in the beginning who are running over road signs, shooting them with guns, playing chicken with people, running them off the fucking road. Of course, you know, one of those people that they try to run off the road happens to be the Sawyers. One of them, you know, is a chainsaw-wielding maniac that wears human faces on his own face. So that doesn't end well for these people, these two guys. And I really, to be honest with you, didn't feel bad for them in the slightest. I thought they were pieces of shit. Beforehand, they were calling up the radio station, harassing Stretch. And Stretch happens to overhear this, the commotion going on, resulting in their deaths, because they were on the line the whole time, which I don't understand why they didn't hang up the phone beforehand, but that's whatever. I mean, it's a horror film, and we gotta move the plot. There's things we gotta bend and twist to move the plot. So Stretch hears it, and then she gets with Lefty and tells him that she's got the recording of it. He tells her she's going to play it on the radio, and then that's going to end up luring the killers there, yada yada. That happens. The killers show up. They end up killing, what the hell is the other guy's name? The friend that also works at the radio station, the one that's building the house out of French fries. Was it LG or LC or something like that? Yeah, they end up killing him, and it's funny as hell. And this movie, man, is just fucking funny. I just didn't think that I would enjoy a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that has a scene of somebody building a house of fucking French fries or other. This movie, man, I can't stop laughing. Yeah, and my favorite scene in the film, it's got to be the scene where Dennis Hopper is going to buy chainsaws at specifically a chainsaw store, which, truthfully speaking, I don't think I've ever actually heard of a store that just exclusively sells chainsaws. I know of hardware stores that sell chainsaws that have like a little set, like the whole store, there's just chainsaws on the wall like it's a fucking gun store. And I mean, I've seen little areas in hardware stores like that. Whether you go into like a big one like Lowe's or Home Depot, or you go into a little mom and pop owned hardware store, I have seen walls of chainsaws. I have never seen a chainsaw store be treated as if it's a fucking gun store. But that's what we get in this movie, and Dennis Hopper's out there whacking the fucking, he's whacking the fucking tree with the chainsaw, which that's not how you cut a tree with a chainsaw, just so you know. That's not how you cut up a tree with a chainsaw. You don't hit it, you fucking, for those of you that have cut a tree with a chainsaw, you know what I'm talking about. Me being one of those people. And you got the old man in the background just fucking cheering him on. It's so fucking funny, that old man. I actually rewound that part multiple times because I just couldn't stop laughing at his facial expressions and the shit that he was saying. I know at one point he said something about his aching banana, which I think is a boner joke, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other part where he spoke, it was just very inaudible and I couldn't hear. But it was funny as hell. And our plot, like you said, we're going back after they kill her at the fucking kill her. They don't kill her. Which it's funny to me. It's funny to me that Leatherface actually ends up developing a crush on Stretch. I thought I'd mention that, but and all the acting is really good too, by the way. Especially the guy that plays the guy that plays Chop Top, Bill Moseley. I mean, he's a horror legend, and he's just absolutely incredible. But like I said, they end up going to tracking him down to this. Stretch actually ends up following them to their little hideout. What was it? An abandoned amusement park, and her and Lefty meet up there, and they end up taking care of business. Not without encountering some less than desirable situations, but all in all, it ends up going well for Lefty and Stretch. It's late at night tonight, so please bear with me. And the gore, I love the gore. There's some great gore in this movie, especially when they're killing the friend at the radio station. They're just Chop Top's beating the ever living hell out of him with a sledgehammer, and there's blood. Every hit you see blood fucking splurt out and shit. It was just really good. And the opening kill as well, where he takes the chainsaw to the dude's head and fucking, like, you don't actually see the chainsaw cut through the head, but you look over and half of his head's fucking sawed off. There's blood squirting out his hands going, it's fucking great. It was the driver of the car, and then you had the other idiot with those stupid fucking glasses on, fucking screaming, and it was just so great. It was so satisfying watching those two pricks get killed. I thought they fucking deserved it. I'm not really saying anybody deserves to die, but and as far as films go, I didn't feel bad for them whatsoever that they were killed. So fuck them, fuck those people. Continuity, man. I wanted to bring up continuity. the continuity in this is actually better than I remember, simply because they got the actor from the original film that played Drayton to come back, so that helps with continuity. There's other little subtle things like the hitchhiker's dead body at the beginning still having the green shirt. And we do run into Franklin's corpse. I believe it was Franklin's corpse at. I think Lefty runs into Franklin's corpse at the amusement park. So, you know, like I said before in this franchise, there's not really. I said that continuity in the original series because the remake portion of this franchise actually has great continuity. But just the original series of films, I always said that it seemed like the continuity was almost non-existent. But there is some here. There is some here. And it helps make it feel connected to the first film a little bit. And I truthfully am a fan of continuity. There are some things about this movie that I don't like, and I think that some of the characters make stupid decisions. Like Lefty, for example. Well, no. Yeah, okay, Lefty. There's two problems I have with Lefty. Okay, there is the part where they meet where Stretch actually, I said they meet. Stretch follows the Sawyers to the amusement park. And Lefty shows up, and Stretch thinks automatically that it's one of the Sawyers, and Stretch runs from the car, and I swear to God, Lefty, bear in mind, Lefty's the one driving the car, and they're on the same side, but he drives as if he drives as if he's chasing after her, which would make her think that he is one of the Sawyers. But it's like, don't you think you should have, you see her running, she's looking back and forth completely, it's like Stretch is running full speed away from this car, and she's looking back and forth, exactly as I am doing right now, with the look of fear on her. And don't you think it should have occurred to Lefty that he should probably get out and say, hey, I'm not one of them, it's me, Lefty, remember? I thought that was kind of dumb, but he does do that eventually, but he doesn't do it right then and there. He chases her all the way up to the entrance. That to me was just weird. That didn't ring true to me. Another thing I really didn't like is that Lefty goes into it was not like a haunted house or something. It was some weird, one of those weird walkthrough things that, you know, some amusement parks have. And immediately, without doing any investigating whatsoever, he just starts taking a chainsaw to the beams that are keeping the it was a big mountain. It was keeping the mountain ride thing, whatever you want to call it, up. Yeah, he goes in there and just starts sawing down all the beams. And it's like, you know, the thing could collapse and it could kill you faster than it kills the Sawyers. So I thought that was kind of dumb. I thought that was a really, really poorly written. The whole scene I think the entire scene at that amusement park ride was poorly written. Now there was some cool gore. There was a cool effect of the friend, I think his name was LG. I think that was his name. Skinned alive, and that looked really fucking cool. That actually looked phenomenal, and that's because Tom Savini did the effects to this film. And I wish there had been more of stuff like that in this film, because I believe Tom Savini did the work. Yeah, I'm pretty certain Tom Savini did. Yeah, I'm about 99.99% sure that Tom Savini did do the work or the effects for the kills. But it looked phenomenal. Like I said, moving on, it looked phenomenal. And another thing I want to bring up is I did not like the way Grandpa looked. I thought that fucking Grandpa looked like Mr. Harriman from the show Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That's who he reminded me of instantly when I saw him. I was just not a fan of the way that Grandpa looked. And I think that overall, though, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is one of the best. It's most certainly one of the better sequels. It's just I would have just liked Grandpa to look more consistent to how he did in the original film. And I understand that Tobe Hooper thought. I don't want to say I understand. I actually kind of don't believe Tobe Hooper when he says that this is the movie that he thought he was making when he made the original. I don't believe that for 1 second. But that's what he said, and that seems to be the consensus. So I think for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, this really just depends on how open you are to, if you've never seen it, it really depends on how open you are to it being completely different than the first film. Tone and just everything. It just... I definitely think if I was to re-rank the franchise, I would rank it higher than I did on my initial ranking years ago, because I don't think I even watched the film when I put it like last or second last, or second to last. I'm not entirely sure, but I would rank it higher. I just, for a true Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, I don't think there really is a true sequel to the original. I think they've tried. I think this technically is the true sequel. And I know they've tried with 3D and they tried with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. They've tried to do a true sequel and they've never really done it right. It's like all these other franchises. Like, I feel Nightmare on Elm Street 2 feels like a true sequel to the first film, and a lot of people would disagree and say Dream Warriors. I'm not a Dream Warriors fan. I'm a Freddy's Revenge fan. And a lot of people would say Halloween 2 feels like the true sequel, and Friday 2, 3, and 4 feel like true sequels to the original films. Child's Play 2, another one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, just doesn't feel like it has a true sequel. Not that I feel like it ever needed one anyway, but it just doesn't feel like it has a true sequel that captures the spirit of the original. So I think in terms of, like, you know, we bring back the guy that plays Drayton initially in the original film. That was a good way. That was a nice touch and made it feel more connected to the original. So I would say if there is a true Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, it would be this one. But yeah, that's it. I plan to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 here in the next day or two, and I'll get that video out as soon as I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and I'm out. Peace.